Hello, everybody, and welcome to season or session 7, or even episode 7, shall I say, of our Interviews with the Experts series. I am so happy to be able to bring you the amazing Suzee Tylee today. She's a naturopathic nutritional therapist, one of my dear friends, and the woman who I went to when I was really struggling in motherhood to overcome depression, brain fog, stomach issues, everything really. I was incredibly depleted, and this woman just completely transformed my life. So yes, I can't wait to introduce you to everybody. Suzee Tylee, hello.
Hello.
So nice to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in today, and yes, coming to say hello to everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Fab. So I think what we've sort of like had a little bit of a natter about is that we're just going to talk a bit about nutritional therapy and talk a little bit about, you know, why is it you're doing the nutritional therapy, what kind of level of nutritional therapy it is that you do, and actually how this really helps mums going through that transition of motherhood. Because I think, you know, you're a mum yourself to 2 incredible children, and we've both been to those places of utter depletion and come out of the other side. And I think there's just going to be so many women who are experiencing that now and who have experienced it in the past and would really love to hear your take on it, really, and love to learn a little bit more about nutritional therapy and sort of postnatal depletion, really. So yes, if you'd like to just introduce us to a little bit about what you do, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about naturopathic nutritional therapy to start. So basically, it's a very holistic therapy which really views food as medicine. So what I do is when I first meet someone, I try and draw up a really intricate web of what's going on for them. So it's never just about food, you know, and I know that, and it's probably clear to most people that we have to take things into consideration such as lifestyle, emotional factors, environmental factors, work factors, etc., someone's history. And what I do is I draw up a really good picture of what's going on for someone. And then we will work together to empower them, to make sure that they are taking back control of their diet. When I meet a lot of people, they may have experienced quite a lot of interactions with the medical system, and they are feeling overwhelmed, and they maybe feel like they've got too much choice, and there's so much information in the media and so many stories about alcohol and turmeric and garlic and bacon, and they don't know which way to go. They don't know what's food. So what we do is we work together to make sure that everything that you put in your mouth is worth putting in your mouth. And that's what the basic premise I work on is making sure you are getting as many nutrients per calorie as you can, but that you're still getting joy from your food and that the food is making you feel good. So when I work with people, I also have access to functional lab testing. So I might offer people a microbiome test, which is a poo test for a better descriptive word, which can look at really what's going on in someone's interior, in their gut. And we might find some goodies, we might find some nasties, and then we write a really tailored treatment protocol to suit their needs.
Amazing. That's so tailored, isn't it?
But it's really, everything I do for people is completely unique, and I take a lot of information from people. But it's very much unpicking someone's sort of past and their history. If you think about it like an onion, you know, you take the layer off an onion and you think you've sort of got to the core of it, but it's actually layer by layer. And I work with people long term to strip away the layers and try and make them return to feeling well.
Amazing. I just think that's so important because, you know, there is a place for Western medicine, absolutely, but I think a lot of the time, you know, when you become a mum, you're just kind of like, you're shoved back out there again. So you have your baby and you have this birth. Now, whether that birth is, you know, ideal and amazing and glorious and incredible, or whether it's extremely traumatic, and there's a lot of traumatic births, and that kind of post-trauma, post-depletion really isn't taken into account. And I speak to a lot of women who are really struggling with breastfeeding, who are really struggling with sort of postnatal sex, really, and relationships and things like that, postnatal weight, the baby brain, the classic kind of baby brain, and that fog and that loss of identity, that loss of self. And I also feel that, you know, a lot of, and this is me as well, that a lot of women, you know, they sort of enter that motherhood stage of someone who was always quite on top of their game with food and exercise and had quite a lot of control over that. So when you said it's about getting back that control, that really, really resonates with me, because that's something that completely goes when you become a mum. Like, you have no control over your days, over your nights, you know, what your body's going to do and how it's going to react. So actually to really look at kind of bringing that all back in a really gorgeous, nourishing way that, you know, is going to really support sort of mental, physical well-being is incredible. Like, it's kind of magic within its own form, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we have to remember that as mums, we've already had 9 months of carrying a child, and you know, that can be completely joyful, completely complication free, or it can be you know, it can be a tougher journey than that, and we're already in that place of depletion when we birth our children, and obviously then, depending on, you know, whether you've had a traumatic birth or whether you've had a natural birth, you can find yourself in a place where, you know, we've stopped sort of caring for ourselves for a short time, which is completely natural. If you think about a birth where you've had a lot of intervention, so say maybe you've required some surgery, maybe you've needed some antibiotics long term, maybe you're taking Clexane, the blood thinners, you know, maybe you had to have some really strong pain relief, you know, and obviously then you're sort of starting on the back foot, if you like. And obviously, as you said, we have to then look at maximising immune function, reducing inflammation, making sure that we're not depleted, so that our breast milk is the very best quality it could possibly be.
Yeah.
You know, there's a huge amount to take on board, and we're so privileged to have this information now and this knowledge that we can work towards optimising, you know, wellness as new mums, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so something there that I just kind of thought of, you know, is there anything that springs to your mind that you would be able to share with us today that kind of just highlights as key elements of that sort of postnatal nutrients that we would all as benefit from? Is there any kind of like key food or ideas or sort of little mini plans that we could start to adopt as new mums to kind of help through those first few months? Is there anything that's big that's coming up?
Yeah, I think the biggest, I mean, key nutrients, for example, we need essential fats, which is our omega-3s from fish oil or a supplement. We need vitamin D, which is essential for immune function, but also because that passes into the breast milk of the baby. And we also need to just, you know, think of our B vitamins. So those are the main nutrients that we can supplement with, as well as getting nutrients through food. But one of the key things that I say to people is it's not what you are eating that's the problem, it's what you're not eating. So, you know, as a new mum, you know, I'm sure that you can totally resonate with this. I did live on sort of a mixture of decaf and caffeinated drinks, depending on the time of day, and a whole lot of cake. And it's not that those are problematic, because, you know, we all know that cake turns straight into breast milk. But it's just about making sure that, you know, there's a large percentage of what we're eating is our nutrient, is our plant-based diet, lots and lots of vegetables, lots of fruit, really good proteins, whole grains, things like that. And, you know, limiting caffeine, you know, limiting sugar intake, you know, being mindful of alcohol intake, because all those stimulants ultimately reduce immune function, but also affect mood. You know, they can interfere with a sleep pattern that's, let's face it, already interfered with. So it's about getting the balance of the joy and the energy production that we need, the energy boost, as well as thinking long term. sustaining, our own health and the health of our wonderful new baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first came to see you, and and we went through loads of food things, and it was, all the fruits and all the vegetables and everything. And then I was in the back of my mind, I was like, she's gonna bring up coffee. I know she's gonna bring up coffee. And at the time, I was just so exhausted. I had sleep. I mean, I was absolutely out of my mind when I first came to you, and you know that. And we worked really, really hard and really closely together on bringing me back to strength, which, after I followed your plans, it completely worked. But when you first said, right, how much coffee are you drinking? And I was like, no, because I was probably drinking about 3 cups of coffee a day. And that was the one thing that I absolutely relied on. And I know that there's so many mums that rely heavily on the coffee to get them through the day, which, yes, it gives you that instant boost. And yes, it makes you feel great because you've gone to a cafe and you have a nice coffee. And it's like that luxury kind of thing that we can do. But actually, when I did stop the coffee, although that first couple of days was quite hard, more kind of mentally, because it was my release, it was my like pick me up. I knew that whatever happened in the day, if I got that cup of coffee, I would be okay. But as soon as I'd stopped that, everything changed, and actually my mood elevated, my systems worked properly, really, really helped with brain fog and things like that. So I'm sure there's going to be loads of mums listening to this who are thinking, oh my god, that's me, I'm absolutely exhausted and I have to have my coffee. Don't you dare tell me not to have my coffee. But what other things, what would you suggest to people in other ways to kind of like, if they were to remove that caffeine element, what else could we do to give ourselves that boost?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I was just going to say, it's really important to note actually that if you do stop drinking coffee or tea, both of which are caffeinated drinks, you can potentially expect to have a couple of days of withdrawal, which is just a light headache.
Yeah, I had that.
After 2 or 3 days, what happens is the brain starts to produce the neurotransmitters that it was making itself to improve energy and to wake the brain up. When we drink caffeine, our brain stops producing those chemicals because it thinks it doesn't need to.
Amazing.
So once you've recalibrated the brain, you should feel more awake and alert, as you did without the caffeine, because the brain starts to kick in and use itself again rather than relying on a stimulant. So what else could you use? So let's say, obviously, adequate hydration. Water is really good.
Yeah.
Dehydration can cause fatigue, obviously. But as a quick fix, I would say something like, something like a nettle tea or a herbal tea, something that's quite punchy, can give you a bit of a boost. Nettle tea's got quite a good range of B vitamins and iron in it. I would say, a handful of nuts, a handful of berries, something like a fermented drink, maybe a kombucha might be a nice choice. Like
that's really good, actually.
Something with ginger in it can give you a bit of alertness. But the other thing is, there's a couple of sort of liquids, B vitamin and iron supplements on the market, and if you are feeling sort of flatlined energy-wise and you are, taking a dose of that a day, having that dose when you're at your tightest can give you quite an immediate lift of energy, which is good.
Yeah, B vitamins are amazing for that, actually. I do find that if I sort of take them in liquid forms, much better as well. And I've had that like in a smoothie or something like that. I really, really do notice it, like in the energy. I think the other thing that I was drinking was there was like green teas as well. Yeah, they were quite good.
Amazing. They still have caffeine in, actually, but they do have this sort of energy producing caffeine that sometimes coffee can shut you down a little bit and make you a bit it's a different sort of energy, whereas green tea, although it has got caffeine in it, tends to be sort of more opening. The energy seems to flow better, and I can't give you a reason for that. But that's my experience and the experience of my other patients.
Much cleaner. I found it much cleaner. Yeah.
It's cleaner. There was just something else I wanted to touch on, if you don't mind, and it was just the importance of gut health for new mums and mums that have got older children. Just as a note, obviously antibiotics and a traumatic birth where there's been some medical intervention, sleep deprivation, a diet that's high in sugar, caffeine, etc. But particularly people that have had maybe a cesarean birth where there has actually been, an opening, a surgical procedure. Just the importance of replenishing your gut after you've given birth. Just because there can become an imbalance in your flora and fauna. And that can have a huge impact on the rest of the body's health as well as your mental health. So certain types of bacteria have been associated with improved serotonin levels in the brain and therefore an elevated mood. And also certain pathogenic bacteria can cause brain fog and etc. So just to be mindful of gut health as well for everybody. And as a practitioner, no matter who I'm seeing, that is where we do start, is just making sure that the gut is not dysfunctional and that we're optimizing the microbiome.
That is, it's such a difference. I think, you do this amazing 12-week gut transformation programs, don't you, as well, which completely transform people's lives. And I think that was something that I really noticed when I'd come to work with you, was that because I was uptaking my probiotics with really high grade, really potent, awesome probiotics, and really, really looking at what I was digesting. I was doing a lot of kefir. I was doing, really clean living, but, it felt incredible. And there's that link between the gut and the brain and the serotonin that's already being produced in the gut. And when your gut is feeling really, really sluggish and you're feeding it loads of, carbohydrates and sugars and fats, bad fats and all this kind of stuff, all gets clogged up and knotted up in there, doesn't it? And then our system isn't able to do what it's built to do, which is produce that serotonin and sort of support the rest of the body and the rest of the organs and things like that as well. So that was really interesting. Yeah, I think gut health is a massive, massive area. And I do feel that this is actually becoming a bit more alive now. And I think that more people are listening to people like you. They are paying attention to the nutritional therapy food is medicine side of life, because the science is there to back it up anyway. It's not just something that you've decided is a good idea. It's that scientifically proven that when you look after your gut, the rest of your body is at more of an optimal function. And that was massive as well. I think, the gut and the brain fog link and the mood, all of that kind of stuff. And that really comes into play, doesn't it, with mums of any age. It doesn't matter if you're a young mum or a mum of a 20-year-old, you're still going to have these worries, concerns, and sort of obstacles and things that you're dealing with generally in your everyday kind of motherhood life. So yes, I think gut health is really, really important. Something that I did think about actually, which is a bit of a link to the gut thing, where was the snacks, because as mums, I'm a total snacker. So, and it's much quicker to just grab a quick snack, isn't it? As well, if you've got like a babe in your arm, or you're doing a school run, or you're working from home, or you're going out to work and you're coming back, and it's quite hard to keep on top of that really stable diet sometimes. And then in comes the processed food and in comes the takeaway. So is there anything that we can sort of wrap up on that would be really good sort of snack wise for mums?
For mums?
Yeah, busy mums.
Busy mums. Yeah, absolutely. So I think the standard snack, which we all love, is something like hummus and oat cakes.
Yes.
You can get little handbag-sized pouches of oat cakes. You can get your tub of hummus, and you can get that almost anywhere. So that's a good go-to. Some blueberries, some raspberries, a handful of Brazil nuts, walnuts, pecans, any of those, almonds. An avocado, half an avocado maybe. All these things, you might have to have a special tub to put them in your handbag so they don't splurge at the bottom of the bag. A banana.
Avocado is not nice.
A banana would be amazing. The chief snack is a boiled egg.
Yes.
They're very portable, for example. But I would suggest, something that is going to sustain you maybe something plant-based. Yeah, something that isn't going to give you a sugar rush, really, because long term, you're going to end up feeling rubbish again in an hour. So something that's something you're going to enjoy, but something's going to lift your energy, rather than reaching for, a bag of crisps or a chocolate bar or something like that.
Amazing. That is so good. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting to me today about all this kind of stuff, because I just know that this is going to be so impactful for everybody that's listening. And if you're keen, I'd really love to have you back, and we'll talk another time a little bit more in depth about perhaps some sort of issues that people are regularly coming up with. And then we can kind of go down a few rabbit holes with some of those sort of key points. So that's been amazing. Thank you so much. Are you able to let us know if someone wants to get in touch with you? How is the best way for them to do that?
Yes, sure. So I have a Facebook page, Norwich Lancaster, and you're more than welcome to message me on that. If you go to the page, you will also find my website, my phone number, and my email address. Failing that, you can write me a letter.
Amazing. Oh, it's been so good. Thank you so much. That's been absolutely amazing.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you again soon.
Take care. Lots of love. Bye.